Remember Anna Wintour's shocking first Vogue cover? Anna Wintour's first American Vogue cover, for the November 1988 issue, starred model Michaela Berku in a bejeweled jacket and jeans. Vogue. By today's standards, the front cover of American Vogue's November 1988 edition seems typical enough. Beside the text, "The real cost of looking good," Israeli model Michaela Berku gazes past the camera, her windswept hair brushing across the shoulders of a bejeweled $10,000 Christian LaCroix couture jacket. Yet, the cover signaled a revolution at the storied fashion Bible. It also marked two important and related firsts. This was the first Vogue cover produced by editor-in-chief Anna Wintour and the first ever to feature a pair of jeans. London-born Wintour, who on Thursday stepped down from the role after 37 years, she will remain as Vogue's global editorial director and publisher Condé Nast's global chief content officer, had been hired to shake things up. The magazine's previous editor, Grace Mirabella, oversaw a surge in readership but was, by her own admission, increasingly out of step with the 1980s zeitgeist. Condé Nast executives were reportedly worried the title was losing its edge. Mirabella had famously repainted former editor Diana Vreeland's Red Office a shade of beige, which became a metaphor for her reputation as being too unadventurous. Practically every American Vogue cover from 1980 to 1988 had been taken by Richard Avedon, a fashion photographer known for his stark, minimalist style. Models were usually shot against plain studio backgrounds in heavy makeup and statement jewelry. The covers were self-consciously elegant, standing aloof from the more mainstream women's weeklies they shared newsstands with. By contrast, Wintour's debut was warm and easygoing. German photographer Peter Lindbergh held the shoot outdoors rather than in a controlled studio. Berku's eyes were neither fully open nor looking directly at the camera. As a result, she came across as a glamorous every woman. Wintour's unpretentious approach was seemingly epitomized by another cover line on that first issue, Paris Couture, haute but not haughty. Berku appeared on the cover in stone-washed Guess jeans, and was photographed by Peter Lindbergh. Vogue. It looked easy casual, a moment that had been snapped on the street, which it had been, and which was the whole point, Wintour recalled in a Vogue feature marking publication's 120th anniversary. Then there were the jeans. These were not a high fashion label's take on Americana, they were stone-washed denim pants straight from Guess. Having launched less than a decade earlier, the denim brand's highest profile moment at that point had come courtesy of Michael J. Fox, who wore a pair of Guess jeans as Marty McFly in 1985's Back to the Future. As such, both in style and styling, Wintour's first cover was a major statement, one that set the tone for hundreds of issues to follow. She went on to forge an editorial identity her predecessors might have looked down on, from spotlighting pop culture icons to featuring a man on the cover, Richard Gere, who appeared alongside then-wife Cindy Crawford. But there was an element of luck behind her debut issue, too. Wintour has since revealed that the jeans were a last-minute decision forced upon the shoot stylist, Caroline Surf de Dudzeel, by unforeseen circumstances. Berku was initially wearing a full Christian LaCroix suit comprising the beaded jacket, which Wintour described as all very like a prayer, and a skirt, but the latter didn't fit properly. Berku had been on vacation back home in Israel and had gained a little weight, Wintour recounted in the 2012 Vogue feature, before qualifying. Not that that mattered. In fact, it only served to reinforce the idea to take couture's haughty grandeur and playfully throw it headlong into real life and see what happened. Wintour has since recalled that the magazine's printers were so surprised by the front cover that they called to see whether it had been sent in error. The veteran editor also played down the intention behind the image, though she surely knew, better than most, that magazines are judged by their covers. Afterwards, in the way that these things can happen, people applied all sorts of interpretations. It was about mixing high and low, Michaela was pregnant, it was a religious statement. But none of these things was true, she said. I had just looked at that picture and sensed the winds of change. And you can't ask for more from a cover image than that. Up next, Anna Wintour steps down as Vogue editor-in-chief, but will retain control of Storied magazine. Anna Wintour is stepping down from her longtime top role at American Vogue after 37 years at the helm. After nearly 4 decades as the editor-in-chief of American Vogue, Anna Wintour is stepping down and seeking a replacement. Wintour broke the news to staffers on Thursday. Although she'll exit the US edition's top role, she is not leaving Condé Nast or Vogue altogether, but scaling back her duties. She will remain on Vogue's global editorial director as well as Condé Nast's global chief content officer, according to Vogue. The new role replacing her atop the storied American fashion magazine will be titled Head of Editorial Content. As Vogue's editor-in-chief, she reinvented the publication, transforming an increasingly unadventurous title into a powerhouse that could set and destroy both trends and designers. Wintour at the 2025 Met Gala. The industry's most recognizable fashion editor will continue on at Condé Nast in two of her roles, but the top spot at American Vogue will change. Though magazines shouldn't be judged by their covers alone, Wintour's covers signaled that she was unafraid of spotlighting lesser-known figures and eschewing the norms of high-end fashion titles. Her first issue, published in November 1988, was fronted by Israeli model Michaela Berku in a pair of stone-washed jeans, the first time that jeans had ever appeared on Vogue's cover. This set a tone for the hundreds of issues that followed, and Wintour would go on to make countless editorial decisions her predecessors would have considered unimaginable. Gone were the days of controlled studio headshots. In their place came casual, outdoor, upper-body shots. In 1992, she broke with a century-old Vogue tradition by featuring a man on the cover, in the form of Richard Gere, who appeared alongside Cindy Crawford, his wife at the time. Though Wintour is most closely associated with Vogue in 2020, she became Condé Nast's chief content officer, overseeing all its titles globally, including Vanity Fair, Wired, GQ, Architectural Digest, Bon Appetit and Condé Nast Traveler. Rather than a retirement announcement, Wintour's shift, as well as the new role atop Vogue's US edition, are part of a wider global restructuring of the company. Still, the changing of the guards is a seismic shift for American Vogue, offering a coveted opening for fashion editors as well as the opportunity for the industry's most influential publication to head in new directions. 2 years ago, Chioma Nadi became the first black woman to lead British Vogue as she succeeded Edward Ninful's own history-making 6-year run as the magazine's first black editor-in-chief.